Hi, this is Dr. Seymour Kern, back on the air. We're now on Chapter 11, Beat the Noise. Instead, write great letters, not boring ads. Anyway, that's the title. So, if you want to be noticed in a large crowd, you cannot behave or look like a chameleon. You want to rise above the noise level of your surroundings to be singled out as an individual. You don't want to blend in with your neighbors or become camouflaged so that you just seem like everyone else. Um, you are looking for maximum attention and penetration. Is that correct? Therefore, your mindset would be to look and behave totally differently from everyone else. Let's say you are in marketing or sales, and if you just wrote another letter or another ad, this would be just boring and typical of what hundreds of thousands of ad men all over the world are doing. You are looking for something personal, familiar, welcoming, and warm. When you go to check your email, for instance, what do you look for before you open it? Chances are you will select those emails that are written by someone you know, or in the know as well. The common misconception of most advertising companies is to design their adverts in the most intricate or beautiful way. However, the more professional the ad looks, the more apt you are to feel that it's just another ad that is ready to be flushed away. So, what do? You flush it? That's what you do. What a waste of time and money. Yet, why do we resort to that type of advertising when we know it will be trashed? Well, we could say that people just don't know how to write a good letter or even a poor one. Perhaps they don't believe in it because the price tag is so small compared to commercially prepared costly ads. So people say that cheap is expensive, and maybe they are correct. But perhaps we could also say that expertise is expensive, which it is, and becomes even more so. Large companies like Coke will spend millions of dollars on an ad, perhaps just to maintain their image and the familiarity of their logo. That may be very true, and it is, but it's definitely not the way for someone just starting out in a business on a shoestring budget, which many of you are. So, what else should one try? We need to analyze all the dynamics to be able to see and appreciate the big picture. I can tell you with certainty that the problem is rarely lack of money when starting out with little or no money. In my opinion, it is the lack of a great idea and the willingness to stay on track and complete it when everyone is telling you to quit. That's a no-no. However, listening to others, let alone your own mother, is not often the best source of advice. Nevertheless, there is one advantage to this sort of advice. It's usually free in a large number of cases. That's okay because when there is success, the return on one small monetary investment can be huge. This is commonly known as the ROI, which is short for return on investment. It's like the signal-to-noise ratio we discussed in an earlier chapter. If the denominator is very low, then the result could be very, very high. As a matter of interest, we have heard about people who make their greatest fortune with small-scale investments and are often more proud of it than not. They are not ashamed of the small money they started with. So what I have done and still do is to write lots of cheap but effective letters that work amazingly well. Often I will spend a whole day just writing, or maybe even 2 days or a week, just writing one small letter. Every word counts, and if you're off by one letter, you're down the tubes. So what I have done and still do is to write lots of cheap but effective letters that work very, very well, amazingly well. I can tell you, I just wrote a letter to the tax department. They wanted to get me for $500,000, and I said, not away. So I sent them one of my hell letters, and they replied with a zero balance owed. Anyway, so that was well worth the time. Also a waste of time, but it was well worth my time. Also, I also find that when they look a bit unprofessional with one or two errors, they work even better than you would expect. Perfection doesn't always work. It doesn't stand out. But when you have an error, it sure stands out. And maybe sometimes being not so perfect is better than being perfect. So I find that when they look unprofessional with just one or two errors, they work even better than you would expect. Isn't that something? Some people like reading long letters and others like them short. Therefore, write both. Most important of all, don't stop at all. Don't stop writing. Keep writing. You get better and better. Why is all this relevant to noise? It's relevant because by writing these letters, you will no doubt rise above the level of the noise of the crowd and exceed beyond your wildest dreams. Well, that was another lecture, and we'll be working on another lecture who I believe will be titled Chapter 12, Study and Pass Your Exams in Record Time. Wow, wouldn't that be nice? How do we do that? Imagine that. Study and pass your exams in record time. Boy, I wish I knew about this when I was a med student. Wow. Okay. See you later.